All right, so two teams left. Where are you going?
All right, number two. I think the reports of the Saints' death have been greatly exaggerated. I think they're still going to be in the conversation. They're the number two seed in the NFC South for me still, though. They are a step below Tampa. And I mean, that's going to come down to the quarterback. I think the quarterback is going to be a problem, but I think Sean Payton's one of those coaches where it's like, hey, I kind of trust him. I kind of believe in what he does, and I think he's just going to be able to patchwork this together because even though I don't know if the Taysom Hill thing is sustainable for 17 games a season, uh, the times where Drew Brees got hurt, they did fine. They were fine. So I think that this could still be a pretty good team. So I got the Saints here at number two and battling for a wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the highlights of this team is Sean Payton. He was the fourth best coach on my rankings. And as you mentioned, the quarterbacks are interesting. So is Taysom Hill going to be the starter? Like, that's what it appears to be, right? I mean, Taysom Hill
Yes.
is getting, yeah, there was reports about it. I feel like, I remember specifically I brought up, like, well, let's not crown Winston as the starter just yet. And I feel like I got pushback on that. I think a lot of us feel like Winston should be the starter. Why do you think the Saints are going with Hill here?
Because Jameis Winston isn't a good quarterback. I mean,
I guess so. I mean, he's not horrible.
I mean, yeah, sure, he's not horrible, but I would rather have a less talented quarterback than Jameis Winston if it means less turnovers. And even in the game yesterday, he threw an interception. So
I mean, his interception was a tipped pass, and Hill threw an interception as well.
yeah, I mean, I think all three of them did. Maybe Ian Book starts. No.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, so I had Winston as a tier 4 quarterback. I think I'm still gonna go with Tua was the best tier 5. I'm debating between, do I want to go with Hill as tier 4 or tier 5? I'm keeping it in my notes as tier 4 for now. It could be bounced down to tier 5 with Hill as the starter. I think Winston's the better player. I do think that, we can say, yeah, the Saints won with Hill. Their offense was worse last year with Hill in terms of points per drive than with Brees in.
Yes, I mean, I had some numbers on this. So based off Warren Sharp posted these. Third down conversion rate with Brees for the Saints last year was 53%. Without him was 44%. Obviously, Brees' interception rate was much lower than Winston and lower than Taysom Hill's, and his sack rate was lower than both of those other guys too by a significant margin. So, I mean, there's just things that Brees did that neither of these guys are going to be able to do, which is going to hurt this team, and I think it's going to lower their win total. I just think that Peyton's going to be able to figure some things out with this team overall.
Yeah. How is Winston continuing to sign with the Saints to be a backup quarterback? Like, someone would give him a starting job, right?
Would they?
I think so. I think that, would Denver at least take him on? At least maybe, I mean, I feel like they would at least give him a shot. I guess you could argue the Saints are giving him a shot too, like a chance to win the job. Maybe he's just not performing in practice. I don't know.
Maybe he likes the crab legs in New Orleans.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a short enough drive to nearby Publix, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, I don't know. Like, I guess you'd say Denver is the one team that you could look at and say, yeah, they'd probably let him compete for the job. I don't know though. Would he actually win the job there though? Would they actually want him to start quarterback? I think people
like he's better than Sam Darnold. Like I feel like he's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. Maybe that doesn't mean he gets a job, but to me he does feel like a top 30. And it's weird because there's so many, there's 5 teams that are probably going to end up starting a rookie at some point. So that's where stuff gets weird. But still, I feel like you can't tell me that he's not better than some of these guys who are about to start for their teams.
I just think that the turnover problems are going to scare teams away. There's teams that are not going to even touch him with a 10-foot pole because of the interception issues, and I think it's warranted. So I think that's something that he's looking at basically a third of the NFL giving him a shot because no one's going to touch him with those interception issues. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, look at why Denver is trying to get off of Drew Lock now because of the interception issues. You think they're going to turn around and get Winston, who has the same issue?
Well, I think that Winston does a lot more well than Drew Lock does.
Yeah, sure. But he still turns the ball over a lot too.
there's no denying that Jameis Winston turns the ball over a lot. I just think that there's enough he does well pushing the ball downfield to warrant him getting, being I guess a fringe starter and a tier 5 starter. I have him as a tier 4 quarterback, so I have him as not even just a top 32. I have him as a top, I guess he was 25th in terms of the starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he finds a way to turn around. Maybe he gets this job here. But yeah, I mean, it's looking like I'm not a Taysom Hill guy either, so I don't know why I'm arguing for him so much. Sean Payton likes Taysom Hill. I don't know if it's stubbornness or something, but I think he is going to start for this team.
Yeah, well, so here's the guy, and I guess here's where it gets interesting because these are the list. Well, we're spending a while on this, but I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. The guys who I had lower on the list, you have Jalen Hurts. Okay, obviously Philly's going to stick with him. Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. I think you could argue the Giants maybe with Daniel Jones. I think I'd probably rather have Winston. You have Tua, give him another year. That makes sense. The Bears with Justin Fields. And then you have, Houston. I think Houston definitely would rather have Jameis Winston than Tyrod Taylor. I think that, Teddy Bridgewater in Denver and Sam Darnold in Carolina. I think those are all spots where he could go. I also think New Orleans is a spot where he should go, quite frankly. I don't hate Taysom Hill. I do think Winston is the better player.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably argue he is too, but like I said, unless he figures out some of his stuff, I don't know. And, they're the ones who are watching him in practice every day. Maybe they're seeing something that we're not. Maybe he's still turning the ball over a ton in practice. I don't know what's happening with it. I do think that he's given a chance to start, and I think he could start. And like I said, I think he is probably the better quarterback. But maybe they're just looking at Taysom Hill and saying, hey, we can be an elite running football team with Taysom Hill and our running back. So maybe that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. Let's talk about it. So you have let's use this conversation to build off of it by going up to another category. We'll use the wide receiver / tight end room. You have Michael Thomas for now. Again, we don't know how he is currently a New Orleans Saints player, so that is a thing. You have Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway for tight ends. Adam Troutman, Nick Vannett, and maybe Taysom Hill if Jameis Winston starts. So this is kind of like I know John Boyes made a video about a similar situation with a Browns player a few years back, but this is kind of a weird situation as well where when you start Jameis Winston, you also get Taysom Hill as an option, whereas when you start Taysom Hill, you now are losing an option. That's not something that you would completely make the decision for, but it is another factor there and could be a tiebreaker at least.
It could be. It depends on what they want to do. I know there's a lot of hype for Adam Trautman this offseason. I guess I'll kind of believe it when I see it, but there's a lot of people really excited for him. They could just continue to run those same play sets and then have Hill also throw the ball. But I don't know how exactly it's going to work. I don't know how they're going to balance it. So it's really tough to tell. But yeah, you are kind of losing that option, like you said, if you start Hill at quarterback, which could hurt the team overall, but at the same time, I don't know if it's pushing the needle that much one way or the other.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing to me is, so again, using this to build off of, the halfback room is, I have it as tier 1 with Alvin Kamara. You also have Latavius Murray, who's a really good number 2 option as well. So I have this as a tier 1 room. You have a great running game regardless. And let's even finish up the offense. We'll talk about the offensive line, which is also tier 1. Teron Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk as the tackles, one of the best tackle combos in the league. You have guards, Anders Pete and Cesar Ruiz. Looks like he'll be moving to guard with Eric McCoy back at, Cesar Ruiz is guard. He moved to guard after the draft. And then you have Eric McCoy as center, who is very good as well. It's a tier 1 offensive line, tier 1 running back room. You're going to have a good running game, and now you can have the better thrower do it. I think that makes more sense to me because with Taysom Hill, I don't know if you have a passing game that much. With Winston, I think you have the better passing game, even with not as great receivers. Winston, Winston got what was his name? The guy from the Buccaneers, Perriman, who he got him paid with a big game. Like he can make not great receivers still work. So to me, that's why I stay that. But again, I do get your point because I guess the flip side is, well, the running game could be even better with Hill at quarterback.
Yeah. What was your grade for the pass catchers?
It was tier 5.
Tier 5. Okay, so Do you think Michael Thomas is on this team September? What is it? September 5th, September 8th, whatever it is.
Um, Probably.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. That situation is weird. I don't know what his
Mhm.
deal is, but I think it's making a really interesting dynamic with this team. They could trade Thomas and just say we're abandoning the passing game altogether.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
no more forward pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Revolutionizing football.
Go back to the wishbone offense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some weird stuff going on with that team. I don't know what's going to happen. Michael Thomas, New England's great this time of year. If you want to go up there, that's okay too. Um, uh, I probably would start Winston too if I was in charge, but I'm not in charge, obviously. So I don't know what would happen, but at the same time, like I said, I think the argument is for we can be very good running the football if we start Taysom Hill, and that's what we want to do. That could be the argument. Just say, hey, we're going to be really, really good at this one thing and just bad at passing. But I don't know. I think it's a really weird situation.
Yeah, and all that being said, I have them as the 16th best offense because of how good their running back room and offensive line is. So there's a lot of good here too with the offense, even with some weird situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, a lot of this is going to come down to who they end up deciding a quarterback and what happens with Michael Thomas. I do think he ends up playing for the Saints this season. But yeah, I think this is something that's going to be debated all year. I don't even think that's going to be decided by week one. I think that we're going to have this debate all year of which one of these guys should be the quarterback.
Over under on how many quarterback changes happen at let's put it at 1.5.
Non-injury related, so
Non-injury related, correct. An injury means it's a push because, then the question is moot regardless.
Yeah, I think I'd go over.
Okay, so you think that Hill will start, Winston will come in, and then Hill will come back?
Potentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that
see it happening. Yeah, I really could. I think it's, or maybe even an Ian Book start. Who knows? Yeah, I think it's. How about this? Over under passes Ian Book throws in not garbage time at 0.5.
I'll by default take over.
Okay. You think that he gets an actual meaningful snap in this game, in a game this season?
I could see it. I don't know. I don't love either of these options, honestly. We are debating it. We've been debating it. I don't love either of these options all that much.
All right, so let's go on to the defense now. Coverage is interesting because they love to have 1,000 safeties with New Orleans. We'll start off with them. Malcolm Jenkins, who was solid last year, not what he once was, but is solid. Marcus Williams is very good. They franchise tagged him to keep him here. You also have PJ Williams, and it looks like I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson might be going to safety. He was a solid corner, but again, they have a lot of corners now with Marshawn Lattimore. They have Patrick Robinson, who is in his 12th year and hasn't seen more than 250 snaps since 2017 with Philadelphia. So he's a wild card. They had also drafted Paulson Adebo, and again, Gardner-Johnson, he'll be a safety or a corner. The reports I made this 2 months ago. I should have updated that, so we'll see what that is. But he's maybe just a fifth DB is what will be his role. And then with Pete Warner and Demario Davis at the linebacker position, it's good coverage. I do think they could use a little bit more corner depth. So this is a tier 3 unit, but it's not bad whatsoever.
No, I think that's fair. It's not bad. I think they still have good players. I think Gardner-Johnson will play that kind of slot role. I guess the one question is going to be that second spot because that's something we talked about with a few other teams. It's like you could have great secondary players at safety spots, your starting corner, your linebacker spot, but it just takes one bad cornerback to kind of derail a good coverage unit. Can they kind of patch together with some of the young guys or some of those options that they have? Can they patch together a good second corner option next to Lattimore? I think that's going to be the big question with this team.
Yeah. Also, thanks to the chat letting me know Patrick Robinson is retired. So again, should have looked that up before doing this. I was busy yesterday with all the preseason stuff. So thanks for the chat. JRad410 is the person. I've never seen someone with the numbers be 410. It's always 420, right?
Yeah, maybe that's his birthday.
Maybe, yeah. I guess so. Perhaps. Anyways, but yeah, again, with the way they prioritize their defense, the Saints, it's all about up front, and up front is very good. You have Shai Tuttle. You have David Amyanada. Omniyada. You know what I mean. David, who is very good. Struggling to pronounce his name right here. I swear, once if someone said it, I could say it back. In my head, I can say it. The words aren't coming out of my mouth. Cam Jordan, one of the great both run defender and pass rusher, really good edge rusher. And Marcus Davenport can do it all as well. Already mentioned the linebackers. Warner had a good preseason game. This is a tier 1 run defense and a tier 2 pass rush, putting them at the 11th best defense in football, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really good group, and it continues to be a really good group. I don't think they're going to miss a beat without Trey Hendrickson, because I think Trey Hendrickson benefited more from playing with these guys rather than these guys playing with Trey Hendrickson. I think he's a solid pass rusher, but yeah, I mean, the core of this group's still there. I still think they're going to be very good, and it's going to be a good defense.
Yeah. King Kamara gave the Saints wow, Alvin Kamara is here in the chat right now, Kyle. Can you believe it?
Hey, Alvin, come on the podcast.
yeah, exactly. Will Lutz, tier 2 kicker. This is a sneaky good kicker division, by the way. Throwing that out there. So for the Saints, I do not have them as a playoff team, but I have them very close. They're only 0.63 wins away from San Francisco, who is in this 7th seed in the NFC. I have them as the 8th best team in the NFC, 13th best team in football. So I have them as a top 14 team, but I think the NFC is a little bit tougher than the AFC in terms of those fringe playoff team spots. It's a 9.63 win team. I think that this is an above average team, and they should compete for a playoff spot. And if they can get tier 3 quarterback play, this is the playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I even think if they get solid tier 4 quarterback play consistently, like, upper tier 4, not necessarily the last quarterback on tier 4 quarterback play, I think that this could be a playoff team still. I think the defense is still going to be very good. I think that they could still run the ball really well, control the clock. Maybe they can limit, some of the time of possession stuff and kind of just make games ugly. Or they can just have, Alvin Kamara be Alvin Kamara, and he could end up the offensive player of the year by the end of the season because he's carrying this team to the playoffs.